Participating advertisers in Cubs baseball are Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. True Value Hardware, more than just a name, it's their way of doing business. Your Chicagoland and Northern Indiana Better Buick dealer. Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick? The Chicago Tribune, a great city deserves a great newspaper. Your neighborhood Unical 76 dealers who invite you to go with the spirit of 76. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. Donnelly Directory, publishers of the Ameritech pages, plus United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Toyota dealers, and Canon, the official camera of the Cubs.
Well, there's your Mariners lineup, and Dick Williams, of course, this year, Steve, is relying on maturity, and these guys being a year older and a year smarter, rather than a lot of lineup changes over the same personnel as last year.
And I think what he has to depend on is, like so many managers in baseball, Jack, he's got to get his pitching staff in order, and that looks to be the Achilles heel of this Seattle ball club.
He sounds optimistic to me about it, though. We talked about that, and he said out of a staff of 10 pitchers, he's got some that he thinks are going to be able to provide those fine young arms. And he's got, you know, I suppose the usual manager's optimism in a spot like that, or maybe just speaking for the public or whistling past the graveyard or whatever, but he did try to give the impression to me, at least, that he is confident this pitching may surprise some people.
Optimism in the spring is the key word, and realism sets in during the season. I don't believe this is going to be a particularly strong Mariners ball club, but they are going to play a pretty decent Cubs ball club who looks to put a lot of runs on the board, and if they can get some pitching, Cubs could be pretty tough this year, and one of the men they're going to count on is the man you're looking at right now, Jamie Moyer. This is his third start, his fourth appearance of the spring. He's thrown 12 innings, only given up 6 hits. And the key for Jamie, he's only walked 1 man while striking out 7. One of the things he's done a lot better this year is hold runners close at first base. Of course, he's got the advantage of being a left-hander, and Jamie's got to be fine with his control. He has been so far, and look for the straight change today. It's probably the best pitch that Moyer throws.
Well, he's young, and as you said, he has that live arm. He did a good job with the ball club the latter part of last year. Matter of fact, he was 7-4 with the Cubs.
Yeah, I'm here.
And had he been up a little longer, he might have been their leading winner. Anyway, stepping in now is John Moses, center fielder. As a matter of fact, Dick Williams is sending his entire outfield in the 1, 2, 3 positions in the batting order today. First pitch is right in there, almost. That looked like a good pitch to me. Who's the plate umpire? Engel? Let's get on him on that one.
Bob Engel.
All my life, I've wanted to get on an umpire.
We'll have to go down there a little bit closer to the field, Jack.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Bob is one of the outstanding umpires in this game of baseball. He's one of the real veterans and obviously a good friend of ours, or we wouldn't needle him like that. That's a little bit high. Jamie Moyer throws a fastball that's liable to do a couple of things, he tells me. Number one, it's liable to sail, or it might sink, or it might go into a right-handed hitter. And he also has a changeup, which people have misunderstood for a screwball, but he swears it's not.
No, it's a good straight change, and he's got an arm motion with it. Right now, he's fallen behind 3-0. John Moses looks to be the 4th outfielder for Seattle this year. He's going to get some playing time in center field today and a lot of different positions during the course of the year. Doesn't have a whole lot of power.
Well, he's got a weak batting average right now at 174 for the spring, but he just got himself a base on balls to open this game. And Mickey Brantley, the right fielder, is up. He'll be followed by the left fielder, Phil Bradley, who I think if you were to have a MVP election for this ball club would probably win that job.
No doubt about that. Phil Bradley with a .310 batting average last year, 50 RBIs, 21 stolen bases. He's an all-star, the heart and soul of this ball club, along with Presley at third base. They've got some pop offensively, and they're looking for the pitchers to come through. And look for Moses to get a pretty good lead. He's a good base runner. He might try to test Jody Davis early.
The outfield straight away, fairly deep. Moyer comes in, little inside. Ball one. Outfield for the Cubs, Diet in left, Dernier in center, Dawson in right. Rowden at third today, Moreland being rested. Sean Dunston at short, Sandberg at second, Durham at first, the battery Moyer, and of course Jody Davis. Plate umpires Bob Engel, with Rick Reed of the American League at first base and Kip Arnold umpiring at third. Ozzie Virgil is the third base coach. Where Williams goes, Virgil goes, and Big Hondo is at first, Frank Howard, one of the I would say one of the most liked and respected men in baseball today.
Certainly one of the biggest.
And yeah, he weighs 300 pounds, and he admits it. But he's 6'8". Matter of fact, he played a lot of basketball at Ohio State. There's a deep foul. Foul all the way. Ball 1, strike 2.
Brantley's having a very good spring, hitting .382 with a home run, 8 RBIs. He's a good young ball player. Seattle is very high on him.
Man on base, nobody out. Cubs are 2-0 against Seattle this year, 11-7 on the season. There it goes. Deep drive, hard hit, foul ball. Ooh, what a break for the Cubs. That had minimum 2 bases on it, maybe 3.
Brantley hits the ball hard. Last year, he split his year between Seattle and Calgary. And at Calgary, Mickey Brantley hit .318 with 30 home runs, 92 RBIs. And he stole 25 bases, so he's one of the rare combinations of speed and power. And it looks like he's going to find a home with this Seattle parent ball club.
Well, he's .382 in the spring right now as he goes into this ball game. Out of his 13 hits, he has 4 doubles and a couple of triples and 1 home run. That indicates some speed, doesn't it? And power.
A good time to make a good move to first base for Jamie Moyer. He might catch Moses leaning.
Foul ball. Still ball 1, strike 2 to Mickey Brantley.
Brantley looks like he's going to platoon this year along with Mike Kingery in right field. Kingery, the left-handed counterpart. Brantley right-handed all the way.
There's your throw. Well, you came within 1 pitch of calling that one on the nose, Steve. And that's pretty good batting average from up in the booth.
Well, you got to figure that Moses is going to be running. Speed is his greatest asset, and they want to stay out of the double play.
Very high pop up in the infield. And it is Durham on the call from Jamie Moyer who makes the catch. Which is precisely what the pitcher's supposed to do in a spot like that, as you lecture every once in a while, Steve, and that is, in that case, the pitcher's the quarterback. Which infielder should take it?
Especially on a day like today, Jack, because it is very windy. What wind there is blowing in toward the Cub dugout. Going to be tough to hit the ball out in left field.
Now here's Phil Bradley, left fielder, one of the best men on this ball club, with a bat in his hand or a glove. He's hitting .325 for the spring. As you pointed out, he was outstanding with this ball club last year. And down in the dugout, while we were down there, he said, say a few kind words about Columbia, Missouri and the University of Missouri. He quarterbacked down there. And he also said they're watching in Macomb. There's a throw to second, a bad throw by Doty. Matter of fact, that was a high inside curve to a right-handed hitter.
Well, a good pitch to run on, an off-speed pitch for John Moses. And he took off and beat it easily. Let's watch the play, watch the throw coming on the first base side of second. When the throw is off target, the shortstop's #1 priority is to get the ball. Forget about the base runner, forget about the bag, but keep the ball from going into center field, and Dunston did just that.
1-1 now on Bradley. 2 Bradleys on this ball club, the other Scott Bradley, a catcher. Now watch somebody yell balk. They always do. That move. Barney just yelled it. Strike 1, 1 away, man on second. That's a little inside. Ball 1, strike 1.
They hit not very deep in left field. Bradley hit 12 home runs last year. Not known for enormous power. 12 home runs in Seattle is not a real big total.
You're talking because they play in the Kingdom?
Boy, it's a launching pad, Jack. After a few years of pitching in that dome, you realize most anything goes out of the park. When a guy comes in with 12 home runs, you got to figure in a regular-sized ballpark, he wouldn't have a whole lot of power.
Well, they built it for $66 million. By today's standards, that's not a bad price. Swing on the curve. 1 and 2. Kind of pulled the string on that one, didn't he? You know, speaking of the Kingdom, the only time I was ever there that was to do a Bears game. And I can understand why the quarterback every once in a while has to ask, would the crowd please cool it, because the sound in there is so heavy that it just drowns you out. It's deafening. 1-2. Inside again. 2-2.
Looks like he's decided to push Bradley off the plate and then go away. Jody looking over in the dugout. It would appear that Gene Michael on occasion would be calling a pitch. This might be a good time to throw that good changeup away from Bradley. See if you can catch him leaning.
Big swing. Fooled him with a curveball. 2 out. First strikeout of the day for Jamie Moyer to match the walk. Here's the pitch coming up.
He throws it high and away from Bradley. And just unable to catch up with it. It is a fastball. And he just overmatched him.
Alvin Davis, first baseman, is up now, batting in the cleanup spot. Another one of those power hitters. 200 hitter right now for the spring. Been at bat 30 times, 6 hits, a couple of doubles and a home run.
Last year, Alvin hit 18 home runs with 72 RBIs.
Well, they've got a couple of guys, a composite first baseman that gives them a lot of power with that Phelps.
Yes,
He
sir.
hit his 6th home run of the spring the other day against the Cubs over here. You've got yourself some real power.
Well, they have some men who can hit the ball, but they've lost 7 straight games in spring training, Jack, and largely due to their pitching staff. They haven't been able to get a whole lot of people out. The opponents are hitting .292 against them this spring.
That's a little low with the curve. As a matter of fact, there was a cute line in the paper here this morning on the sports page. Dick Williams, in talking about his ball club, said, the way things are going, he said, I've got a cold sore that only cracks when I smile. And lately it's getting better. Outside.
I've known Dick for a long time with a few ball clubs, Jack, and smiling isn't his long suit. So he's got a chance for that cold sore to heal relatively quickly.
Well, he's got a track record that if he quit right now, he'd be way ahead of the game. Been in 4 World Series, won a couple at Oakland, put Boston in 1. And, of course, San Diego against the Cubs on that playoff, and then into the World Series with Detroit. So, you know, look how many guys in this world would give anything if they could say, I played 1 inning in a World Series.
Well, there's no doubt about the fact that he's had great results. And winning through intimidation is his game. He doesn't really care if his players like him too much. He just expects results. And he's had some pretty good years in the past.
2-2. Strike 3. Fooled him with his fastball. And that retires the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, a man left. So now we go to the Cub half of number 1. No score at Mesa. Well, the reason for this crowd shot is because they're very special people. These are the guests of WGN Radio and Television here today. And for this weekend, they're the fellas who are representing the sponsorship and the reason that Steve and I don't have to go to work for a living.
Joe Laughlin right in the middle over there, and Mark Shacker up in the back.
Well,
Joe
we got
Antillo, a host of others.
I've got a whole list of them here. I'm going to try to mention a few as we get ready for Bob Dernier to move into the batter's box. Joe Laughlin from WGN Television, Mark Altshuler, Bill Bradley, Jack Kerrigan, Jake Findley, Terry Pearson, John Reardon, Mark Shacker, Wayne Spracklin. They're all Channel 9. And Dernier steps in. Mike Morgan, the pitcher.
Morgan's got a good arm, a good live fastball, and a hard slider. You look at those numbers, they don't impress you too much, but 9 runs in 1 inning last time out pushed that ERA way up.
Well, in his preseason summation of his ball club's chances this year, Morgan was one of the 2 men that Dick Williams mentioned to perhaps be the leaders on the staff.
Well, he's got a great arm. He's one of those guys with a lot of potential. Last year, put together an up-and-down year, was 11-17 with a 4.53 ERA. Stands 6'2", 195 pounds, and lives in Ogden, Utah.
And he also mentioned Mike Moore. There's a high fly ball, short left, and it's Bradley who one-hands this one. 1 away. And that brings up Ryan Sandberg. Also, Dick Williams is pretty high on Mike Moore and, of course, Mark Langston. Now, Mark Langston may not be a household word in Chicago, but can I tell you, with all of the publicity given Mr. Clemens last year, Langston was still the league leader in strikeouts. He struck out 245 men. We're not going to see him down there this year on television, but you'll see him in Chicago at Sox Park. Curveball low. Ball one. No score. One away in the first. Cubs at bat. Ryan Sandberg is up. What kind of a pitch was that? It looked like a hard slider.
He kept it down. He's got a good live fastball and a hard slider. That time he completely fooled Sandberg. Rhino off to a very good start in the spring, hitting .370, a couple of home runs and 9 RBIs.
Low. Went for a bad pitch.
Another good hard slider, and that's the one thing that Rhino's been unable to do. When the pitcher gets ahead of him, he's thrown him that breaking ball away, and Rhino will swing at it more times than not. But when you make a mistake on him, he's going to punish you.
Ground ball. Scooped up by shortstop out there. That's Quinones, not the one with the Cubs, but this is Ray, R-E-Y Quinones with Seattle. That'll bring up Andre Dawson. Well, let's hope he picks up where he left off the last time we saw him here. He popped 2 of them out of here, and I mean he popped them. And in your earlier interview with him before the ball game today, Steve, I was interested in his explanation of waiting a little longer on the pitch, because he waited on a 3-2 pitch. And you could just see him wait, and he still pulled it high over that wall.
Andre knows he can hit most everybody's fastball, and the waiting, Jack, is waiting for the breaking pitches. He realizes most pitchers aren't going to challenge him. They're going to try to throw the soft stuff away from him. If he waits, he can take it to right field and still turn on the inside pitch. There's a slider that misses outside. Dawson very strong. Tremendous confidence in his ability to hit anybody's fastball in baseball. That's why waiting and keeping his weight on his back foot is even more important for him. The home runs are going to come.
You know who waited beautifully? Ernie Banks. Ernie was one of the best waiters I ever saw. I've had catchers tell me that he picked that ball out of my mitt and pulled it over the left field wall.
It's the wrists that Ernie had. He had the quickest hands around and tremendous strength in his hands and wrists, which is essential for any great hitter.
And you notice his fingers were always moving at the top of his swing. He was always, with both hands, his fingers were moving, and Joe Garagiola used to call that radar. Ball 2, strike 1. No score, first inning. Fair ball. Third baseman has it. There's Presley's throw. And so it's 1-2-3 for the Cubs in the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left at the end of 1. No score at Mesa. The leadoff hitter in the second now is Jim Presley, third baseman. Moyer throws, misses the outside corner. Ball 1. No score, second inning. Jack Brickhouse along with Steve Stone here at Mesa.
Presley, the big power man for Seattle, 27 home runs and 107 RBIs last year.
Well, I would say that Phelps and Presley in that batting ought to give them a great 1-2 punch. I noticed them the other day here. Here was Phelps last year had 24 home runs, and Presley with 27. So this is why Williams says, look, we're going to score some runs. We just want to make sure we don't give them more than 3 outs an inning all year.
Pitching and defense, the key to any ball club. And Presley is not afraid to swing the bat. He struck out 172 times last year, so good look at Billy Connors.
Yeah. Billy, that diet's working beautifully. Foul ball. 2-2. Very popular fellow. He was greeted warmly by the Cubs when he showed up on the field here the other day. 2-2. No score.
Dick Williams in the background. Ray Quinones swinging a bat.
over to Detroit and had a big year. Some of the fans in Seattle, they've been getting on the people a little bit about that.
Breaking ball, fouled.
Phil Roof is the bullpen coach, and talking with him before the game, he said that Dick Williams is not going to tolerate some of the defensive miscues this ball club made last year. They worked very hard this spring on fundamentals, and most managers will tell you that very few times will a team beat you or blow you out. It's your mistakes and giving them the 4th and 5th out in an inning that does you in.
That's right. Like Paul Richards used to say, and you remember Paul, of course, Steve, teams don't win games, other teams lose them. There's a good throw by Mr. Sean Dunston. Presley is out. Quinones is the batter. Shortstop. Hello, Richard. He still bears a grudge against San Diego. He didn't go for that treatment at all. You know something? Jerry Coleman, the broadcaster, here's a former major league player. Tried him, and now he's the broadcaster for San Diego. Williams refused to be interviewed by him. No, he said, you're with San Diego. Moyer all set. A little high, a little inside.
Quinones
1-1.
looks to be the starting shortstop. Not a flashy sort, has pretty good hands. Not very impressive spring so far.
Ground ball, hot shot, past the third baseman. Wade Rowden couldn't get down in time for that one. Base hit. Quinones on first. No relation to the Cubs' Quinones, who's also a shortstop. And Bob Kearney, the catcher, is up. Well, we have Unical people here as our guests. Tom Matthews, Bill Osborne, Andy Campbell, Ted Seaton. From the Burnett Agency, Dick Minchef. Block of people here too from Anheuser-Busch, who are among the great sponsors on Channel 9 and Cubs Network. Don Nystrom, Gary Goldstein, Rich Meyer, Peter McLaughlin. From Toyota, Jim Byers, Gene Kowalas, Tony Casello, Chuck Chukovich, Jim Ewing. From Pepsi, P.J. McCarthy, one of the great raconteurs on the trip, and Sean McCarthy. And incidentally, McCarthy was telling me, too, that a very, very special lady listening down in Longview, Texas. As soon as I can find her name, I'm going to give it to you. Ball 2. Outside, ball 3.
Kearney's got a little power.
Here it is. Flash. Loretta Muscarian, Longview, Texas. Her daughter Sharon is here with the Cub group. And she is the #1 Cub fan in the whole state of Texas. That's the reason she's getting a mention. Ball 3, strike 1.
Good time for a pickoff move if Quinones strays. You might want to stay out of the double play. You got a slow running catcher up. 1 out. Let's see if Dick Williams decides to send him. Kearney's got some pop in the bat.
And Durham is trying to hold him close. Ground ball, left to second, could be 2. Here's Dunstan's throw after stepping on second. That one was doomed from the very beginning. No runs, a hit. No errors, nobody left. We go to the Cubs second, no score at Mesa.
Second inning, no runs, no.
Batting in the cleanup spot today for the Cubs is Leon Durham, first baseman. He's leading off now in the second, no score in the ball game. He'll be followed by Brian Dayette, the left fielder, then the catcher, Jody Davis. Here's Leon.
And looking at Gene Michael, that'll show you what kind of a day it is here in Mesa. A little bit nippy for this time of the spring. Players aren't used to this kind of condition.
They're getting us ready for the home opener.
Well, we hope it's like this during that St. Louis series.
Glad to settle for it. Glad to settle for this weather in Chicago on the opener. You know, Steve, in my time, twice I have been snowed out on openers at that ballpark. Snowed out.
Remember, Jack, up in Montreal, we got snowed out for a whole 3-game series. Never left the hotel. At least 10 inches every snowstorm for 3 straight days.
Was that the opener?
Yes.
Was that the one where Bronfman threatened to forfeit the games, and from now on, if you schedule us at home in the opening?
I just remember that.
So now Montreal is scheduled on the road?
For a while, yes.
Hard hit, base hit. Right field. So Durham slams one out there. Durham's having a pretty good go of it this spring. Came into this ball game hitting .314. That's his 12th hit of the spring. And now the batter is left fielder Brian Dayette, who is one of those real good power hitters. Broke up a game against the Mariners with a home run the other night.
Brian with a couple of home runs this spring, 6 RBIs.
Yeah, he's at 200. Last spring, of course, he was way up there, like 353 or something. Led the ball club. But he's just now getting it up to 200. He's in a real spotty spring.
And he's in a pretty good battle in left field for one of those jobs. Looks like they might do a little platooning. Rafael Palmeiro in the battle, of course, and Gary Matthews has had some knee problems this spring, not coming around from that off-season surgery like the Cubs hope he would.
Very high fly ball, right field, moving over for it. And just at the foul line, almost in foul territory, is Mickey Brantley to make that catch. And that'll bring up the catcher, Jody Davis.
Mickey Brantley going over, staying with this ball. The wind is taking it away from him. You see the basket catch. Brantley's got very good speed, and he uses it on that play.
That'll bring up Jody. Jody's hitting .211. Altogether, he has 4 hits, 1 double, 1 home run. No score. We're in the Cub half of number 2. John Vukovich coaching at third. Jimmy Snyder at first. That just misses. There have been quite a few at this point very close inside pitches, where if I were umpiring up here, which of course you can be glad I'm not, I might have called strikes. But Mr. Engel is only about 1.5 feet from some of those, and he's got to have a better shot than I have.
Well, Jack, if you'll take a look where all umpires set up on the right-handed hitter, they're going to set up on the inside corner. That's the pitch they get the best look at. Now, on the outside pitch, they might miss it by an inch or so, but the inside pitch, you'll see Engel set up, and you'll see he gets a look, and he can really tell where the corner is.
Low and away, and there is a cinch out at second base. Bob Kearney firing down to second baseman Harold Reynolds, and that was no contest as Leon Durham broke on the hit and run.
Well, as far as catching and throwing, Kearney's as good as anybody in the American League. You can see the throw pretty much on the money. Plenty of time. Leon Durham just runs right into the tag. Harold Reynolds applying it, and a good quick release by Bob Kearney.
1-1. That's a little high. Ball 2, strike 1. Well, the age-old question, on whom do they steal, the catcher or the pitcher, Steve?
No doubt the pitcher, Jack. And if he holds him close and gives a catcher like Bob Kearney a chance, he's going to gun down most of them.
High foul ball. Over comes Alvin Davis, but it's out of reach at first base. Ball 2, strike 2.
Morgan's got good size for a pitcher. He's 6'2", 195 pounds, out of Tulare, California. And he's one of those guys that fall into that category of a great arm, a lot of potential, hasn't been able to put it together yet on the major league level. But Dick Williams and Billy Connors have a lot of hope that this man can step into the starting rotation every day and be a big winner for him.
Fastball low. Ball 3, strike 2. I remember Jock O'Connor, the Hall of Fame umpire, telling me one time, speaking of plate umpires, Steve, here's a guy who has to make himself a couple of hundred decisions in a ball game. And he said, if you only miss a half a dozen, you're having a good day. That's deep to center. Moving over for John Moses. It's routine with no sun. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. And so 6 men have batted for the Cubs in 2 innings. And so at the end of 2, the score is Seattle 0 and the Cubs 0.
This copyright telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
We're going now to the Seattle Mariners half of number 3 here at Mesa. Harold Reynolds, number 8 in the batting order. Second baseman will lead off. No score. Final coming up. Let me have it, Arnie. All right. 77-76 Indiana. LSU had a good lead for most of that second half, and the Hoosiers caught them. So Bobby Knight makes that trip to New Orleans. Congratulations to the Indiana University Hoosiers. Ball 1, strike 1. Would it have been something if we could have watched an Indiana DePaul wind up, huh? That's a strike. Ball 1, strike 2.
Reynolds had some problems with the bat last year in the major league level. He hit .222 for Seattle, but no problems in AAA. He hit the ball very well at Calgary. .314.
Jamie Moore throws. Fly ball left field. Moving in forward is Brian Dayette. He has it. That's one away, and that'll bring up the pitcher, Mike Morgan. I suppose both pitchers, if they're able to do it, will be able to go at least 6 innings today, huh?
I think they'd like to stretch it out some as we get a little deeper into spring training.
They just announced the Indiana score here, and a lot of folks are cheering it. Indiana won the ball game 77-76.
Not many folks here from LSU, but a whole lot of people from Indiana.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Curve inside. Ball 1.
One of my old golfing buddies here with us, Senator Alan Dixon, one of the real great golfers in the game today, Jack.
I understand he's a clutch putter. If there's a buck on it, it's under 6 feet, conceded, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Mike Morgan is at bat. 1-1. Foul ball off to the right, out of play. Ball 1, strike 2.
Yesterday, Allen almost won the closest to the pin in the tournament that WGN held. And I've never seen a 9-iron roll that far. He must have rolled that ball about 70 yards, up about 6 feet from the pin.
Ground ball, fair ball, taken by third baseman Wade Rowden. That's 2 out, and that'll bring up the center fielder, John Moses. No score. Each team with 1 hit. No errors yet.
You want to keep the inning
And
alive
here's John
here.
Moses.
And Moses might be wanting to bunt to get on. Keep it up to Mickey Brantley. Moses has good speed, drew a base on balls the first inning, stole a base, so you know he can run. And with that in mind, Wade Rowden in very close at third.
And I notice the center fielder is shading him over toward right.
Well, a big gap in left center field. The wind blowing toward right center field. And there you look at Rowden in at third base.
But you know, you have a right-handed hitter and a left-handed pitcher, and that's a little unusual sometimes, isn't it, to see the center fielder shade the other direction like that?
Depends on how Jamie Moyer is going to work him. And apparently, as happens with the scouting reports, and you have advanced scouts, even in spring training, telling you how to work the hitters, they figure that Moses is likely to hit more balls to the off-field. But, you know, on an inside pitch, especially if it's a changeup, Moses can turn on it.
That's at the knees. Ball 1, strike 1. Dayette, Dernier, Dawson in left, center, and right. Rowden, Dunston, Sandberg, Durham, the infield third to first for the Cubs. Moyer and Davis, the battery. That's a trifle inside. Ball 2, strike 1. 2 out.
He was managing that minor. When in one evening they got in the middle of the game, I looked out on the field. Earl was sitting on home plate.
Ball 3, strike 1.
Moyer in danger once again of walking Moses. And in a 0-0 ball game, you don't want to put a man at the top of the order on base.
That's right. Matter of fact, it was like a double when he did it in the first inning, because after that, Moses stole second. High hopper taken by Rowden. Plenty of time. 3 up, 3 down. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We go to the Cub third. No score at Mesa.
For the Mariners in the third, there are no outs.
Senator Alan Dixon from, matter of fact, the senior senator from Illinois. You're too young to have that word senior.
You look great, Jack.
So do you, Alan. And let me just say this. It must be a real pleasure for you to be in an atmosphere where the biggest issue is whether the Cubs can jump a notch or two.
Oh, I think they can jump a notch or two. And I think they're going to have a good season, and we're all very excited about it, Jack. And I enjoyed being with you this weekend out here. And no matter what Steve says, he's a pretty good golfer, Jack.
Well, as a matter of fact, I can see this setup a mile away. He's trying to set you up for 3 aside.
That's right.
Don't listen to him.
He sure is.
Dunston hits one out there to center, or to shortstop, and there's no problem on that one. That's a 6-3. You remind me of the time we had Senator Paul Douglas on, and we let him do a half an inning, and Ernie Banks hit a homer for him. On the south side of Sox Park, the next week he showed up, and now we put him on again, and Don Buford hit a home run for him. So we gave him an award that year in the Television Academy as the promising young rookie sports announcer of the season. Alan, wonderful to see you.
Good to see you, Jack. Good to see you, Steve.
There's a one hopper to the first baseman, no problem. That's out number 2, unassisted. No score in the ball game. Jack Brickhouse, along with Steve Stone, and a fine young rookie golfer, ready to turn pro on the circuit, according to Steve, Alan Dixon. Great to see you. Great to see you, Senator. Two out.
Both pitchers sailing right along. Only 2 hits in the ball game. Both pitchers showing they can get the ball over the plate. Moyer not really known for the great bat work. This is a day conducive to the pitcher. It's a little colder than normal in spring training. Hitters' hands buzzing if they catch the ball in off the fists.
Big swing. Ball 1, strike 2. So Morgan and the fellow he's facing right now both look pretty effective so far in this game, Steve.
Very much so. Sharp breaking pitches, good off-speed pitches so far, and Morgan throwing a very good fastball.
Ball 2, strike 2.
Now he's probably going to make Jamie Moyer hit that fastball. He doesn't want to make a 3-2 pitch to him, so he's going to make it happen here on 2-2. Look for him to heat him up outside. Now he does have to go to the 3-2 pitch, and of course Jamie hoping to keep it alive for the top of the order.
Outfield shallow, infield at normal depth. There is a fair ball, says that first base umpire, and 3-1 on that one with the pitcher covering. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. Our old buddy Dwayne Stats is going to be here now for the next 3 innings. I'll be back in the 7th. And say a few kind words about Harry while I'm gone, will you?
We'll see you then.
All right, fellas.
Ball game moves into the 4th inning from Hohokam Park with Steve Stone. This is Dwayne Stats. Nice to have you with us. We have a scoreless ball game. Jamie Moyer on the mound, and Mickey Brantley leads it off for Seattle. First pitch is down and in. Well, it's a cool afternoon here in Mesa. Something of a warm-up perhaps for opening day at Wrigley Field. Now the delivery is a little high. This Seattle ball club is really struggling, Steve. They've dropped 7 in a row.
It looks like Jamie Moyer is trying to make it 8. Both pitchers dominating today. It's a day when hitters don't want to swing the bat too much.
There's a popper back into shallow right. Out from second to Sandberg to make the play. So Brantley's out of there. Well, it has been a very good spring for Jamie Moyer. You know, when we opened camp, there was some question, I think, in some people's minds as to whether Jamie would make this staff or not, and he's taken matters into his own hands.
He definitely had a battle on his hands, and it looks to me like, Dwayne, that they might be trying to move one of the starting pitchers, keep a spot for Jamie Moyer in the starting rotation.
Here's Phil Bradley, and the first pitch to Bradley is a strike call.
I'm going to say that we have not seen the last of the roster moves for the Cubs as far as trades are concerned. I know there's a few in the works, and Dallas Green trying very hard.
There's a strike call, nothing in 2. Well, I think you're right. I think the possibility of a trade involving one of the veteran pitchers looms. I think the possibility of a trade involving one of the veteran outfielders looms as well. Ground ball through the right side of the infield. Dawson comes in to make the pickup, and Phil Bradley has the second hit allowed by Jamie Moyer this afternoon. That gives Bradley 1 for 2. He had fanned his first time. Here's Alvin Davis. Davis struck out swinging his first time around.
Phil Bradley with pretty good speed, 21 stolen bases last year. And you've got to respect the power of Alvin Davis. He swings a pretty good bat.
18 home runs last year. The Mariners have some people in that lineup who can pop the ball a little bit. And if Brantley, who led off with that pop to second base in this inning, develops the way they hope he will, they could have a pretty good lineup.
I think they like what they've seen of Mickey Brantley so far. It looks like he's going to platoon with Kingery, but he gives him a lot of offense. He can go get him in the outfield, as we saw earlier.
Jamie Moyer's delivery to Davis is a little low. 1 ball, no strikes. Moyer had walked only 1 man all spring coming into this start, and he walked the first man he faced in this one, John Moses. He has Bradley at first to toss over there. Bradley back.
Every time out this time of spring for every ball player who's on the bubble is a big outing. Jamie Moyer no exception. Brian Dayette in left field, another guy looking to try to take a job and just not hitting the ball all that well this spring.
1-0 pitch is too low.
Another man who's in competition is Wade Rowden for utility spot. He's given the start at third base today.
You know, I think he's received a little more pressure than perhaps a lot of people thought. Paul Noche has played well this spring, and Rowden has had a little problem getting started at the plate. 2-0 the count. The pitch shot through the right side, base hit. Dawson will make the pickup as Bradley is on his way to third, and that will put runners on the corners with only 1 out for Seattle in the 4th. Davis hit the ball sharply through the right side.
Here's an example where if the man turns around at third base and watches the relay throw, he might have a shot at scoring. Now take a look at the throw from Andre Dawson to Sean Dunston. Ozzie Virgil is telling Brantley to stay right at third. You can see him right there. The ball gets away from Dunston, and he might have had a shot at advancing because it bounced away about 10 feet. So you got to be heads up on the bases and always take a look behind you.
That's why it's so important when you hear people talk about outfielders missing the cutoff man, missing the relay man, throwing to the wrong bases. Now here's Jim Presley. Presley grounded out his first time, bounces this one foul, strike 1.
Presley a good double play target if Jamie can keep the ball down and make him hit the ball on the ground. Cubs got out of the second inning with a double play off the bat of Bob Kearney. Moyer would like to do it again here.
Runner at third is Bradley. Davis over at first. There's Alvin Davis. Frank Howard coaching first for the Seattle Ball Club. The 1-strike pitch on the way. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You don't look for Davis to run at first. He didn't steal a base last year. So although Jamie Moyer is going to watch him close, Davis not getting a very big lead.
Presley originally came up during the '84 season, spent about half of that year with Seattle, and has been at third base every day of the last 2 years. Back. Jamie again to first base, and Davis is back in. Presley hit 27 home runs last year and drove in 107 runs. For a time, he was hooked up in a pretty good battle for that third base spot with Darnell Coles over here.
Won the battle via the trade. Coles going to Detroit.
Now the pitch. Ball 2. He missed inside. 2-1.
If you did have a good base runner at first, this might be the time to send him to stay out of the double play. And we'll see what's on the mind of Dick Williams.
You're watching Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN Channel 9 Chicago. We're in the 4th inning, top half of the frame. No score against Seattle. And the pitch to Jim Presley is ball 3, 3-1. So Moyer struggling a bit here. He got out in front of Bradley and then gave up the base hit. Fell behind Davis, and Davis singled into right. Now he's behind Presley, 3-1. Last year we saw Jamie get behind a lot of hitters, and when he did, he found himself in big trouble. As long as he can stay in front in the count, he's in pretty good shape with the off-speed stuff and the change of speeds. 3-1 pitch, fly ball, right center field. The wind's going to carry that a bit. Dernier back to make the catch. Here's the tag by Bradley. He will score to give Seattle the first run of the ball game. The throw back towards second base. And on the sacrifice fly to center, Bradley crosses the plate. The RBI for Presley, his 5th, and Davis hangs on at first.
You can see Bobby Dernier drifting with the wind. This is a pretty good pitch, a 3-1 pitch, a difficult location pitch, and he kept the ball away, changed speeds on Presley, and he gave up the run, but he got out a tough hitter.
Here's Ray Quinones, the shortstop. Seattle got him from the Red Sox. Pitch is a strike at the knees. Quinones hit less than 200 with Seattle last year after coming over from Boston. He hit 237 with the Red Sox. That pitch misses. 1-1 the count.
What do you feel about the chances of this Seattle ball club this year, Dwayne?
They're going to have to find some pitching, number one. They have some real problems there. They're hopeful that Scott Bankhead would fill one of the spots in that rotation. There's a bounding ball through the left side of the infield. Base hit to left as Dayette comes up with the ball. Davis will stop at second. So on the 3rd hit of the inning, the Mariners put runners at first and second with 2 gone.
Just off the glove of Rowden at third base. Almost an identical base hit to the 2nd inning for Quinones. You can watch the deflection out into left field, and Jamie still has some work to do here in the 4th.
2 men on with 2 men out. A run home. And here's Bob Kearney. Kearney may find himself battling for a spot on the Seattle roster. They have 3 catchers on the roster right now.
They like him defensively. You know that he can throw and get rid of the ball. He didn't handle the pitching staff quite the way they wanted last year.
And the pitch to him is too low, ball 1. Well, they have Scott Bradley and Dave Valley in camp. Dick Williams really likes Valley, likes his bat.
Played .340 in limited action last year. You got to like that with 5 home runs.
There's an off-speed pitch too low. So Jamie's behind 2-0.
Here's a guy who went to bat 53 times, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs. And you translate that over a 500 at-bat season, and those are pretty good numbers.
2-0 the count. Kearney, meanwhile, grounded into a double play his first time up. He's 5 of his last 10 now. A roller towards short. Dunston up with the ball. He'll step on the bag for the force on Quinones, and that retires the side. But Seattle comes up with a run in the 3rd on 3 hits, and they strand 2. Bottom of the 4th coming up, 1-0 Seattle. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up from Hohokam. The Seattle Mariners lead the Cubs 1-0. And in the home half of the 4th, the Cubs will have the top of the batting order up. Bob Dernier, followed by Ryan Sandberg and Andre Dawson. Cubs with 1 hit through the first 3 innings. That a single in the 2nd by Leon Durham. He was caught stealing on the missed hit and run. So the Cubs have sent just 9 men to the plate against Mike Morgan through 3 innings. Here's Dernier. Dernier continues to nurse that right shoulder this spring. Flying to left his first time. There's a strike call. Regarding the Seattle pitching, Steve, we talked about in the top half of this inning, if Morgan could step forward and give them the kind of performance they think they can get from him, that would be a big plus. 1-1 to count.
And I think they have to depend on Nunez and their bullpen as the stopper, because if he doesn't come through, they have tremendous problems.
Sharply hit. Whoa, what a stop by Presley at 3rd. He gets up and throws and out. the call at first. What a stop by Jim Presley on a sharply hit ball by Bobby Dernier.
This is as good a play as you'll see out of a third baseman. Good reactions by Jim Presley, diving toward the line, comes up with it, makes the good, strong throw. You can see why they're so high on Presley defensively as well as swinging the bat. Boy, that's a dandy.
Well, you get a guy who can turn it a play like that at third and hit a home run, you really got something. And the Mariners know just that. Here's Ryan Sandberg. Sandberg grounded the shortstop his first time. Pitch is inside. Ryan came into the contest hitting .370 for the Springs with a pair of spring home runs. Ball 2-2-0.
They say that Presley has quick moves like Brooks Robinson did. Not very fast, but great reaction time, and you saw it on that play. You don't have to be fast at third, but you do have to be quick.
The 2-0 delivery. And a tapper to third. Presley up with this one. A lot of time this time, and he makes the play. Presley to Davis. Sandberg is out third to first. 2 up, 2 down. Cubs hitting a lot of ground balls against Mike Morgan in this one.
I think the fastball is sinking for him, and he's got that good hard slider away from the right-handers. If you try to pull that, you're going to hit the ball to the left side. So far, he's been able to get the ball over the plate, and that's a secret for him because he does have that good live arm, Dwayne, and if he can stay ahead of the hitters, make him hit his sliders away, make him hit that fastball just off the plate, he can be a big winner.
Here's Andre Dawson. He goes after the first pitch and pops it up on the infield. Notice the shortstop making the call and the catch for the out. So the Cubs go up and down in order. That's 8 in a row retired by Morgan through 4, 1-0 Seattle. On to the 5th. Harold Reynolds leading off for the Seattle Mariners. He's in there with a count of a ball and 2 strikes against Jamie Moyer. Reynolds hitting 8th in the Mariner lineup. Count goes to 2-2. Moyer been touched for a run on 4 hits so far this afternoon. 3 of those hits coming in the 4th inning. Foul ball right back into the screen. Reynolds, the switch-hitting second baseman of the Seattle Mariners, 26 years old. And he's out on strikes, so Jamie Moyer got him. 3rd strikeout of the contest for Jamie. He got Bradley and Davis back in the 1st, and now Reynolds to open the 5th.
Good straight changeup by Jamie Moyer. That's one of his pitches that he has tremendous confidence in, and that time he threw it very well, kept it low and away from Reynolds, and just completely fooled it.
Well, he changes speed so well, and that makes the fastball, which is not an overpowering fastball by any means, it makes it an effective pitch for him sometimes. Mike Morgan takes a strike.
Jim Fry was comparing him to Scott McGregor in his good years with Baltimore, his ability to take a little off, put a little on.
This pitch misses, and the count is 1-1. The first strikeout of the afternoon he got on Phil Bradley with a fastball as a result of the changeup. And Bradley looking for the off-speed stuff, threw the fastball by him. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Morgan. A 1-0 ball game. Little bounding ball toward third, charged by Rowden. Tough play, and he got him. Rowden a little extra time with the pitcher Morgan going down the line, and he got him. Wade Rowden to Leon Durham.
This is a good play by Rowden. He's got to come in on the short hop, throws off the right foot, and fires it across to get him by about 1.5 steps at first base. Rowden showing he can play some third base defensively.
And his history is one that has a little pop in that bat, so you have to think that he's a little better hitter than what we've seen down here so far this spring.
You think one of the biggest surprise in a spring that hasn't had a whole lot of surprises is the emergence of Paul Noce as a contender for the utility spot?
I think you'd have to rate that right at the top. Here's Moses with a base hit into right. 1 hop to Dawson out there, and that's the 5th hit of the ball game for Seattle. There have been a couple surprises, Steve. One, I think Paul Noce, whose idea was to come to camp and not be intimidated by the competition and the players here, and he has not been. He's played well, and the other one has been Lester Lancaster, who pitched yesterday. He was a late addition to the non-roster invitees to camp and has caught the attention of Gene Michael and Herm Starrett.
Oh, Dallas Green very high on Lester Lancaster. He likes his demeanor. He likes his attitude on the mound, and the fact that he will challenge the hitter. He's an aggressive pitcher, gets the ball over the plate, and he's got a pretty good arm. So I think that's a name that probably you won't see come north with the ball club, but you might not see in the too distant future in a Cub uniform.
Moved to first again, and Moses is back. Moses swiped the base in the first inning. Moyer keeping an eye on him over there. There he goes, and they have him picked off. Durham down to Dunston, and he juggles the baseball. So Moses is safely in there. Jamie caught him going the wrong way. Moses took off.
If you're a base runner and you're picked off, you got to go as hard as you can right into second base, because this is a tough throw for the first baseman. Sean cannot handle it. The throw is low, and the ball just gets away. So you turn a bad play into a good one, and Moses winds up at second base.
And they charge Leon Durham with an error on the throw. Runner at second, no count on the hitter, Mickey Brantley. The pitch chopped down the third base side, fair ball, and the throw to first in time. Rowden in foul territory, but the ball in fair territory, and he throws him out. No runs, one hit, one error, one left. Bottom of the fifth coming up. 1-0 Seattle. Back at Mesa, the Chicago Cubs and the Seattle Mariners this afternoon. Cubs will send Leon Durham to the plate to face Mike Morgan to open the home half of the fifth inning. 1-0 Seattle on top. Here's Morgan's first pitch. Durham chops it to the right side. Reynolds, the second baseman, to Davis, one gone.
That's an example of a hitter trying to do more than he's capable of in a certain situation. That was a sinker low and away to Leon. And when his swing is right, he's going to take that ball to left center field. This time he tried to pull the ball, and you see a weak ground ball to the right side. And most good hitters will tell you got to go with a pitch.
Here's Brian Dayette. Brian with an 0 for 1 this afternoon. His average has slipped under the 200 mark. He's hit a pair of home runs this spring for the Cubs, including one the other night to defeat the Seattle Ball Club in extra innings. There's ball one, 1-0. Next telecast will be next Saturday when the San Francisco Giants come calling. We'll have it for you starting at 2 o'clock. There's ball two, 2-0. Cubs have won 3 of their last 4, standing 11-7 in Cactus League play here this spring. They had sharply hit ball through the left side of the infield for a base hit. Now the Cubs come up with the 1-out single here in the fifth. That's the first base runner for the Cubs since Durham's single to open the second inning. So Morgan had retired 9 straight. And here's Jody Davis. Jody flying to center his first time. He helped the Cubs avert being shut out yesterday with a sacrifice fly in the ninth down in Chandler against the Milwaukee Brewers. They had it first, one gone. There's a liner into left. Bradley will make the play on one hop. Another base hit as Dayette stops at second. So Jody Davis singles, and the Cubs have a little something cooking with only 1 out here in the fifth inning against Mike Morgan. Pair of base hits by Dayette and Davis, and here's Sean Dunston.
Chance for Sean to put the Cubs on the board. It's going to take a long single to score Dayette from second base. He doesn't have the greatest speed. Bradley with a pretty good arm in left field. But a single to center right field will produce a run.
2 men on. Dunston, the 7th placed hitter in Gene Michael's lineup. upstairs. 1-0 the count. Prior to this outing, Morgan had really struggled this spring. An earned run average of better than 10. He had given up 11 hits in just under 8 innings of work and 9 earned runs, 10 total coming into this one. Cubs have their first shot at him here in the 5th. There's a ground ball back to the mound, back to second to Reynolds, 1. First base, they got them both. Morgan, Reynolds to Davis, 1-6-3 on the inning-ending double play. For the Cubs, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. We've completed 5. Seattle 1, Cubs nothing. With Steve Stone and our producer-director Arnie Harris, this is Dwayne Stats. We move into the 6th inning. Cubs trail the Seattle Mariners 1-0. They've been out hit by Seattle 5-3 on the afternoon. Jamie Moyer back to the mound. Seattle will have Phil Bradley, Alvin Davis, and Jim Presley due here in the 6th inning. You can see a jacketed crowd here. A cool afternoon, overcast here in Mesa. Still a great turnout as the Cubs have been averaging in the neighborhood of 6,800 per opening.
Another great golfer up in the booth with us. Jim Dottle has shown up. Has his white windbreaker on, ready to go. You know, Dwayne, I think we're pretty much ahead of the game because it was scheduled for rain today, and we haven't seen any so far.
Well, here's Bradley. Bradley singled with 1 out in the 4th inning. Scored on the fly ball to center field by Jim Presley. So far, Moyer has struck out 3 and walked 1, allowing the run on 5 hits. And the pitch to Bradley is a strike on the corner.
Probably the 2 most impressive starters have been Steve Trout and Jamie Moyer this spring. Both of them, although they have contrasting styles, have thrown the ball well.
There's a broken bat roller right side. Moyer makes the pickup, and he'll have to throw to first out there. The barrel end of the bat chipped away on Bradley, who is out Moyer to Durham. 1 gone in the 6th. The 2 fellows slated to follow Jamie Moyer to the mound, Ron Davis and Jay Ballard.
Here's a look at Jim Dottle.
In his golfing attire.
Came down to enjoy the warm weather and hasn't seen much of it.
Jamie Moyer. Another impressive outing for him. Trying to find a baseball to his liking to work to Alvin Davis. With Ron Davis and Jay Ballard scheduled to follow Moyer, this will be a big outing for each of those right-handers. There's a strike call to Davis. They're all big from here on out if you're trying to make the club and fit into this pitching staff. And both Ballard and Davis have struggled here this spring.
Well, Ballard has really struggled. He's thrown 8 innings, given up 17 hits and 11 runs, 8 of them earned, along with 3 homers. So if he's going to raise that stock any, he's got to do it with every outing from here on out.
Meanwhile, Moyer has the jump on Alvin Davis, 0-2. And very close there. He just missed, and the count is 1-2.
Ron Davis's ERA is at that 12.79 mark. 11 hits in 6 1/3 innings, so neither of them have distinguished themselves.
Swung on, fly ball back into right center field. Pretty well tagged. Dawson back on the track. He's there, and he makes the catch for the out. Alvin Davis gave it a ride, and with that wind blowing out that way, you never know. But the ball stayed in the ballpark, and Andre Dawson caught it on the track.
A graceful outfielder as you look at Andre Dawson coasting over under that one, and he's going to give the Cubs a big lift defensively, and we know what he can do with a bat. But he's got a couple of gold gloves in his trophy case for his defensive prowess in right field.
Here's Jim Presley. He owns the run batted in this contest. Well, the Mariners have struggled for the past week. They've struggled in a lot of categories. Pitching, and at times they've struggled trying to score runs. There's a strike. The Cubs now, in the night game they played against Seattle, struggled a little bit to score. Friday night did not have an impressive offensive outing yesterday, and they've been shut out through 5 innings here in this one. Presley pops it up right side. Durham over there. Moyer racing north the dugout as well, but the ball is out of play. So the count is 0-2. Bradley and Davis have been retired. 2 strikes the count on Presley. Cubs hit the road. They'll play in Palm Springs for the next couple of days, taking on California, and then move up against San Diego and Yuma.
Once again, a capacity crowd here despite the cool temperatures. 76-55 announced once again.
This pitch swung on and a high fly ball, not too deep toward left center. Dernier under the ball, and he makes the catch to retire the side. A 1-2-3 inning for Jamie Moyer. And as we move into the Cub half the 6th, the score is Seattle 1, Cubs 0. Back at Hohokam Park in Mesa, the Cubs take on the Seattle Mariners this afternoon. We're with Dale Riggins of the Hohokams. Dale, we've heard so much about this great group, and they do such a wonderful job running spring training for the Cubs here. Tell us a little bit about the group and what you actually do.
Well, we're a group of local business people who've grouped together over a period of the last 20 years to bring spring baseball to Mesa, to the area, to the East Valley. And it's our aim to bring good entertainment and wonderful relationships with the ball clubs to the East Valley and create something for people to see.
How'd the group start?
Well, it started as just about a nucleus of 15 or 20 people got together one evening and decided to bring baseball to Mesa, and started out with the Oakland Oaks, a little minor league team, and brought them over here. Then we got affiliated with the Cubs a little later, and it's all been a wonderful relationship.
Well, there's no question it's been super. Thanks, Dale. Let's get back to the ball game now. In the bottom of the 6th inning, Wade Rowden will lead it off, and he's facing the new pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, left-hander Bill Wilkinson, on in relief of Mike Morgan. Rowden is grounded out and takes the first pitch for a strike.
The 3rd appearance of the spring for Wilkinson. Has no record and no ERA. Last year he was at Calgary, where he was 8-8 with a .478 earned run average, and he was a starter all season.
And a shot foul back into the stands down the right side. So Rowden is behind, 0-2. You see the spring line there on Wilkinson. He's caught a little attention over in the Seattle camp. They say he has a pretty good arm.
Would his nickname be the Sword?
We have Bill Swift slated to follow Wilkinson, so if so, it would be the Swift Sword. Rowden stretching out a little bit there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Cubs trying to get something going. They didn't do much with Mike Morgan, who started the ball game, pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs, didn't walk anybody, didn't strike out anybody, and a pretty impressive outing for Morgan today.
Got out of the only near jam he found himself in with a double play ball from Sean Dunston to end the Cub 5th. Count goes to 2-2 now on Rowden to open the bottom half of the 6th inning. Chico Walker has moved into the on-deck circle. Jamie Moyer scheduled to hit, but Moyer has worked 6 innings this afternoon. There's a liner to short, caught by Ray Quinones. Rowden sounded as if he broke his bat on that soft liner to the shortstop. So Moyer's finished for the afternoon after working 6 innings, and Chico Walker will come on to hit for him. Chico, the switch hitter, will turn around and bat right-handed.
Walker hitting .222 with a .349 on base percentage this spring. 1 home run, 5 RBIs.
And he's involved in that outfield battle for a spot. First pitch is high, ball 1.
I think the fact that he can run and he's so versatile, Dwayne, is going to win him that spot. He can do a lot of things for you, move around, play all 3 positions out there, and give you a good base runner when he gets a chance to pinch hit.
1-0 pitch is made, and it's a strike call. Well, he would seem to be the ideal extra outfielder as a result of the versatility. Switch hitter with speed. He's played all 3 outfield spots, and in a pinch could play on the infield. 1-1 the count. There's a pop foul straight back and out of play. So the count is 1-2. Bob Searles, the Cubs cinematographer, wanted to pass along a hello to his daughter Margie Slavin, who is watching in Charleston, South Carolina from the Navy base there. There's a look at Bob. He said everything's fine. He's keeping warm. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Count goes to 2-2. Bobby Dernier will be next, facing the left-hander, Bill Wilkinson. He was born in Gray Bull, Wyoming. The 2-2 delivery upstairs.
Impressive outing for Jamie Moyer today. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 singles and a run. And Seattle really didn't figure him out. So a good spring continues for Moyer.
Wave and a miss. On 3-2, Wilkinson came in with a fastball, and he picks up the first strikeout recorded by Seattle pitching this afternoon. 2 up, 2 down in the Cubs' 6th, and it brings up Bobby Dernier. Dernier 0 for 2, out on a fine play by Presley at third, back in the 4th inning on a sharply hit ball to Presley's right. So Dernier is up there with the bases empty. First pitch is upstairs, ball 1.
Wilkinson originally signed with Seattle. He was the 5th round selection in the 1983 June draft. So he's a member of the farm system developed by the Mariners.
Ground ball, shortstop Quinones, backhanded stop, and the long throw. Dernier is out at first, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down go the Cubs. Jack Brickhouse will be rejoining you now. We've gone through 6 with the score, 1-0 Seattle.
Well, we have a flip-flop in the substitutions now. Ballard's in pitching, but he'll bat in Dernier's spot because Dernier made the last out, and Chico Walker will stay in the ball game, play center field in place of Dernier, and of course he will bat in the pitcher's spot.
Jay Ballard's had a rough spring thus far, 9-point ERA, making his 7th appearance. He's got a save in 8 innings. He's given up a whopping 17 hits, 11 runs, 8 of them earned. Been touched for 3 home runs. He's walked 4, struck out 7. Every outing now for Jay, a very big outing. And he's got to keep it close, and he's got to show Gene Michaels that he can put him in a game that's close, and he can hold the opposition right there. So Ballard trying to raise his stock this spring because he's in a dogfight for one of those roster spots.
Jack Brickhouse back with you once again along with Steve Stone. 1-0 ball game. Nothing's happened since I saw you last, Steve.
Not much, Jack. It hasn't been the most exciting game the Cubs have played this spring.
Well, it can be a connoisseur's delight, though, if you like those pitchers' duels. And the leadoff hitter is Quinones, Ray Quinones, facing Ballard. 1-0 Seattle. And among the people here, as guests of WGN Radio and Television, Joe Keitel, Terry Marquardt, from Canon Camera, from Cotter and Company, that's True Value, Ed Langto and Tom Langto. From Builder Square, Judd Walford, Eddie Walford. From the United Agency, that's Burnett, Leo Burnett. We have Don Amos. And from the Chicago Tribune, Matt Mertens from the purchasing department, and Junior House, circulation driver from the Tribune. They're all out here boosting their Cubs. They're the people who make it possible. That's inside. Ball 3, strike 1. And the catcher, Jody, out to have a little talk with his pitcher. What do you suppose he's telling him right now, Steve?
Well, he's telling him to relax and get the ball over. You know Ballard's pressing, Jack. There's no doubt about that. He realizes the importance of this outing, and he's just not throwing free and easy. He looks like he's trying to aim the ball, take something off to get it in, and when that happens, the hitter's going to let you know that you're not throwing it well. But if you don't get the ball over, you're not going to be around this league very long.
That's a ball. So, Quinones is on base. That brings up the catcher, Kearney.
Send him home, Jody.
Kearney's 0 for 2, a double play ball. Also in our group here, from General Motors, Don Grieve and Doug Hockenbach. From Cotter and Company, Harry Adams and Doug Davidson. From Zenith, William Harriott. From Tribune Broadcasting, Jim Dowdle. Dennis Fitzsimons, Sean Sheehan, Mel Smith. From Tribune Entertainment, Joe Antello, Mike Adanamis, Jack Devlin, Dale Lackman. Entertainment guests are Jeff Allison and Peter Seed from Chrysler Corporation and from the Bozell Agency. Very special guest, we talked to him a little while ago, was Alan Dixon, United States Senator from Illinois, and his executive assistant, Emmett O'Neill, and Bill Wills, president of W.H. Wills and Associates, and Bill Hammock, his associate, who put this whole thing together. It's a monumental task, entertaining that many people. Fill a plane, get them all accommodations. And now we have ourselves another little situation where we need a conference, and that's Herm Starrett going out.
Herm Starrett going out to talk with Jay Baller. And Baller having all kinds of trouble locating the plate. There you look at Gene Michael. Probably running out of patience as far as his bullpen is concerned. He's got to find somebody to get the game to Lee Smith. And the guy who's really impressed himself on Gene Michael so far, Jack, has been Frank DePino, who started out a little shaky this spring, but now he's throwing the ball very well, and he's the one man who looks like he can consistently get the game to Lee.
And I suppose the fact that he's left-handed also helps too, Steve, huh?
That and a 1.29 ERA.
Bob Kearney with a ball, 3-strike-1 count now. Starrett comes from that school of thought that says get that first strike over. He'll give you a long speech and a genuine sermon about get that first strike over there. That strike is the pitcher's pitch. There's a bunt. It's foul. Ball 3, strike 2. Rogers Hornsby used to say that the same thing. He wanted that pitcher to throw that first strike in the strike zone. And I said to him, well, Raj, what are you going to do if, for example, the other ball club knows that you're always asking that pitcher to throw that first strike into the strike zone? And he said, you give me a first ball hitting team and I'll beat them.
Depends on how hard they hit the first ball.
I suppose. 3-2. High foul ball over for it is Rowden. He's got to play. And that's that. That's out number 1. As Kearney fouls out. That brings up the second baseman, Harold Reynolds. Well, what about you, Steve? When you were pitching, did you like to get that first pitch in there for a strike all the time, or did you play around with it, or what?
I didn't throw a lot of fastballs on the first pitch, Jack. I felt that most hitters were going to take a breaking ball on the first pitch because they can't hit it as well as they can a fastball. I felt that I could get my breaking ball over 80% of the time, and so I tried to get ahead of the hitter with the breaking pitch and come back and maybe get him with a fastball inside for strike 2 and set him up for the breaking pitch later on. But again, a lot of pitchers don't have real good control of their curveball for the first pitch. But you have to get ahead. It sets up a whole different type of at-bat for the hitter if he has to hit defensively. If he has to hit your pitch as opposed to making you throw him his pitch, you're going to be in good shape on the mound.
I have to think the psychology of that is immaculate. I think it's perfect. I have to agree with you 100%. You know, the other side of the coin is if you're a batting instructor, I've heard him say, I want this guy to be an aggressive hitter. I want to... Bill Veck, as a matter of fact, explained that one time, the slight difference that can mean a world of difference, really. He said, the attitude, I'm going to hit this pitch if it's in the strike zone, as opposed to, if this pitch is in the strike zone, I'm going to hit it. In other words, one's a defensive attitude, and the other's an offensive attitude.
Well, I know for years facing the Pittsburgh Pirates, Jack, they never used to take the pitch. You just never see them take a strike. They just go after it, and they had pretty good offense those years. Baller now getting a derisive cheer from the crowd, getting the fastball over the plate.
Jay Baller, a big guy. Matter of fact, you'd expect him to intimidate batters a little more than he does, wouldn't you? That's another ball.
You can't intimidate him out of the strike zone.
No, that's right. So that puts men on first and second. 2 walks now. Seattle leading 1-0. And Wilkinson, the pitcher, is due up.
And Ozzie Virgil talking to him at third base. Wilkinson obviously going to at least attempt to bunt in this situation, but perhaps Virgil's talking to him about if the third baseman does charge you, you might want to draw the bat back and try to slap it over his head, or sees Leon Durham coming in and charging him, he might want to go that way depending on the location of the pitch. So let's see what happens.
All right, the bunt is popped up. It'll be an easy out, and there's a double play as Baller whirls and fires to second. And you'll have to explain to me why Quinones never got back to second on that one. He was doubled off the bag on the bunt. Boy, that's got to be really something to bunt into a double play in that spot. That's got to be really embarrassing. So, no runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. On your feet, everybody, you Cub fans. It's time for that 7th inning stretch out here. One of these days, we'll have Harry singing for us again on that one, and Harry, I know, is watching today. Score of the ball game, Seattle 1, the Cubs nothing.
With the exception of opening day, plenty of great seats remain to all Cub games in April. The Cubs host the St. Louis Cardinals, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Montreal Expos in a key early season homestand. So start the season off right by purchasing your Cub tickets at the advanced ticket windows at Wrigley Field, or call Ticketmaster at 559-1212. You'll be glad you did.
One to nothing ball game. The visitors from Seattle. And the Cubs coming to bat in their half of number 7. And a crowd of, what is that crowd? 7,355 or 7,655, I guess it is, Steve. Most of them standing up because most of them are Cub fans, of course. The leadoff hitter is going to be Rhino. He'll be followed by Dawson, then Durham.
One of the real good seats. Man's got a ladder. He gets all the action, doesn't have to pay a great deal for it. Just the price of the ladder.
He probably borrowed that from his brother-in-law. All right, let's see what Wilkinson does against Sandberg. Curveball strike. Caught the outside corner, strike 1. 1-0 Seattle. One.
Wilkinson has been a starter since he debuted in pro ball in 1983, but if he does make this ball club, he'll have to make it in middle relief.
Low inside. Well, I see the end of the line has come for one of the true greats in the history of baseball, Steve Carlton. Phillies had a committee meeting of the executives yesterday and decided they simply could not use him. So he's tried it with the White Sox and the Yankees and several other clubs. He simply doesn't have it.
You know, Jack, you hate to see a guy go out like he has. He's a sure Hall of Famer, and yet he was with 4 clubs at the end of last year, still trying to catch on, and in his early 40s, it's time to look at another area and look for another profession.
Yeah.
And guys just don't seem to know when to quit.
That's right. The old story, they have to tear that uniform off of me. That sort of thing. Ball 3, strike 2 now. Here's a fellow right here who has certainly Hall of Fame potential if he keeps up the way he is. That's hit. Way back. Back she goes. Back. Hey, hey! Rhino did it. It's a new ball game. All right.
A 3-2 fastball, inner half, and Ryan Sandberg juiced it. His 3rd home run of the spring, his 10th RBI.
All right.
And even into the wind, there was no doubt about that. Phil Bradley just turned his back, looked up, and it was gone.
Okay, brand new ball game. That brings up Andre Dawson, who has the power to put the Cubs ahead with 1 swing.
And take a look at it again. High fastball. Sandberg gets the head of the bat out and rips it over the head of Bradley and out in the parking lot. Take a look at just the swing of Sandberg. He's getting stronger every year.
Checks his swing, little low. Ball 2, no strikes. Hey, this is the kind of a pitch, a situation that a guy like this loves. And here goes Billy Connor out to have a little talk with his pitcher. Well, there's a pitcher who doesn't mind wearing number 13. He doesn't really regard it as a jinx. He's a lefty. Speaking of pitchers who are a little bit on the eccentric side, you see that item in the paper today, Steve, that St. Patrick's Day. Ah, look at Iowa leading you. Hey, Talk to Shuck is in trouble at the half, huh? 56-42. Anyway, Tuesday was St. Patrick's Day, so the Astros showed up in green caps. But one of their pitchers did even better than that. Charlie Kerfeld, he dyed his hair green.
Charlie would dye his hair
Well,
green.
he's a little bit on the eccentric side. He says he's a little happy that that they moved from that hotel in L.A. that they have been staying in to go to another one, because the hotel they were in was right opposite Pershing Square out there in L.A. And he said, every time I look out, all I saw out there was a bunch of winos and ex-pirate draft choices. Ball 3, strike 1 now to Andre.
Here's the pitch. It's Andre's and every great hitter's pitch, probably his most favorite. The 3-1 pitch, something that he can drive.
There's a hard hit ball, too hot to handle for the third baseman. It's a base hit for Andre. Jim Presley simply couldn't get in position for that one. And so the Cubs have the lead run on base now here in the 7th inning with Leon Durham at bat. Leon is 1 for 2. So the Cubs are beginning to get to these guys a little bit now.
Pinch runner for Andre Dawson, and here you see him drive it through the left side past Presley. And one thing about a pitcher, if he makes enough 2-0, 3-1, and 3-2 pitches, he's going to get in trouble. That time Dawson made him pay for falling behind.
And we have a pinch runner now for Dawson. Try to pick him up here for you.
Paul Noche running at first base, and now Wilkinson pushes him back.
Durham, the batter.
They're worried about Noche. Noche has real good speed. He's a guy that can steal a base.
As a matter of fact, in the first 4 innings, Cubs had only 12 men at bat. One did get a hit. It was Durham, but he was out stealing. Leon is 1 for 2 in the ball game. The lead run is on base with nobody out. Durham, the cleanup hitter, is out. There's the throw to first. That was a little close.
Well, we've tried 3 different moves to first base to keep Noche close. Noche with pretty good speed and a base-stealing threat, certainly.
Curve high inside.
And Durham's getting Wilkinson where he likes him. If he falls behind with a breaking ball, then he's got to come to him with a fastball, and that evens out the lefty-lefty advantage.
Ball 1. 1-1 game. That's a little outside. Ball 2, no strikes. WGN Television, Channel 9, Chicago, Cubs baseball. Jack Brickhouse along with Steve Stone. Bradley, Moses, Brantley, left, center, and right. The infield, Presley, Quinones, Harold Reynolds, Al Davis. The battery, Wilkinson and Kearney. Plate umpire today is Bob English. Ball 3, no strikes. That's a strike. Ball 3, strike 1. Each team has 5 hits now and 1 run.
Now Noche has to be careful at first base. A lot of times the pitcher will give him his good move, anticipating that Noche's going to run. So let's see what happens.
Very high pop-up in the infield. Should be routine for Reynolds, the second baseman. He's just barely on the outfield grass. Oh, no. Dropped the ball, but he's still going to get his put out. I wonder if that was an accident.
I think he just plain missed that ball. The sun seemed to come out just when that ball went up in the air.
Well, the reason I ask about that, Steve, and you're probably right, but in so doing that way, he removes a good base stealer, a fast man, by Noche, and puts Durham on base instead.
But he took his eye off this ball. He just plain out and out missed it. It was a good move, though, because Gene Michael coming out now to talk with Rick Reed at first base about just that possibility, Jack.
Pearsall coaching at first. He'll have a few comments about it. Now the batter is Dayup. Man on base, one away. Line fly, right field. Brantley over, one hands it. And that's out number 2. And that'll bring up Jody. Well, now would be a good time for Jody to put one over that left field wall.
Well, if Wilkinson falls behind like he did on both Sandberg and Dawson, you might see Jody taking him deep. And he gets a big hand from the crowd here. He's one of the Cubs' most popular players, whether it's in Chicago or Mesa. And Jody's got the power to make this a 3-1 ball game quickly.
Ball game tied up 1-1. That is a little high. Ball 1. Sun's out now. Boy, is that sun welcome. And a little bit on the nippy side up here the last few innings. That misses. 2-0.
You know, Jack, we're sitting right above the concession stand here in Mesa. All you can do is smell onions up here. I know what a piece of liver feels like when they're preparing it for dinner.
Jody Davis, the batter. As a matter of fact, if you think Dallas Green hasn't turned this ball club over personnel-wise since he came in 1981, Jody Davis, Durham, and Lee Smith are the only Cubs left who are on this squad on this team when Dallas came here. Base hit, right field. One hop to Mickey Brantley, and with that, of course, Durham stops at second, but Jody Davis moves the lead run into scoring position with a line shot to right field. 2 men on, 2 out. The batter now is shortstop Sean Dunston.
Now the responsibility goes to Leon Durham at second base. You know, Jack, it's the fine points of the game that win or lose close ball games, and Durham's got to get a good lead at second. The reason is Rowden's coming up behind Dunston, and he hasn't hit the ball well this spring. So you figure if Sean does get a base hit, you're going to need Leon to score. In which case, he's got to get that extra couple of steps because he does not have the greatest speed out there at second.
Well, Mr. Dunston, not too long ago in this same spot, put one out of the ballpark and won a ball game with it. Foul ball, strike 1.
Well, with that cut, he had it in mind once again, Jack. He was going for the downs.
He sure was. And the wind again is moving from left to right, which of course is not in Sean's favor. Since he's a right-handed hitter, he figures to pull the ball to left, and that would be a crosswind. It might be a helping wind for a ball hit to right or right center. Strike 1. That is a ball. Pretty close, but a ball. 1-1.
Dunston is a good breaking ball hitter, especially on the inner half, and occasionally Wilkinson has tried to pull the string on that breaking ball. If Dunston gets a ball in the middle of the plate or in, he can drive it down that left field line.
So Wilkinson gets set. Foul ball. Back of the plate. Ball 1, strike 2. One and 2. Inside. Had to get his left leg out of the way of that one. Ball 2, strike 2. Two and 2. Runners take their leadoffs. Here we go. Big Hard swing, went for a low curve, and struck out. 1 run, a home run, leadoff homer by Ryne Sandberg. 3 hits, no errors, 2 left at the end of 7 complete innings. The score at Mesa is Seattle 1, the Cubs 1. Well, we have several substitutions now for the Cubs. Palmeiro's in left field. Dayette has moved over to right. Andre Dawson is out of the game. Noche has moved to third base in place of Rowden. Rowden has moved over to first, and Durham's out of the game. And Berryhill is now catching in place of Jody Davis. So it reads this way for the Cubs. Palmeiro in left, Walker in center, and Dayette in right. Noche at third, Dunston at short, Sandberg at second, Rowden at first, the battery, Baller, and Berryhill. 1-1 ball game, and leading off now as we go to the Seattle half of number 8 is John Moses, the leadoff man. Been on base twice today, once on a walk and once on a base hit, and stole a base.
Gotta be heads up for the bunt here. Seattle needs a base runner. Moses with good speed, running from the left side, might decide to lay it down.
A little high.
One thing you can bet he should be doing, and that's taking a strike. Baller hasn't shown he can get the ball over, and you want your leadoff man on base. I know if Jim Fry were managing, he'd give him the take sign.
That's a strike. You can tell that Jim is not too far away from Steve. 1-1. Jay Baller trying to settle down and win himself a ball game here. Well, you're right, Steve. He wanted to bunt, but the pitch was inside. He couldn't handle it. Ball 2, strike 1. Well, among the people we consider our good friends out here today are fellows like Dennis Kennedy, the very famous sports broadcaster and professional actor in Chicago. There's a foul ball. And I see my old friend and your buddy, too, Joel Weissman out here today, Steve. And we want to congratulate Joel because he's out here not only relaxing but celebrating that WGN TV News received the prestigious Jacob Scher Award for investigative reporting last week. Award to news analyst Joel Weissman and producer Pete Treisman for a series on city contract irregularities. Ball 2, strike 2, 1-1 game. There's a hot shot, caught by Rowden at first base. So he just got on the field at first base, and right off the bat he's got a challenge, and that was a very, very hard hit ball. He was equal to it. Moses is out.
Hard hit ball by John Moses. Fortunately, good reactions on the part of Wade Rowden. Flags it down on its way to right field, and that ball came back on him, almost got away.
That brings up Mickey Brantley. 1 out, nobody on. A tap to the pitcher should be routine. 1-3. That's out number 2. That'll bring up the left fielder, Phil Bradley. Looking ahead to the Cub half of this inning, Wayne Rowden, by the way, will be leading off. Ozzie Virgil coaching at third. Where Williams goes, Virgil goes. And joining him from Milwaukee this year at first base, Coach Frank Howard.
Baller has settled down, and he's getting the first pitch over. That's a good sign. If he can hold him right here, Cubs can come back and put something on the board in the 8th.
Low and away. Ball 1, strike 1. Two and 1. Got the first pitch in and then threw 2 balls. Outfield playing him to maybe hit the ball a little late. Center fielder Walker's out there, and he does hit the ball late, and it's a base hit down the right field line, and he's going to wind up with at least 2 on this one. So Phil Bradley has doubled to right. Well, the Cubs defense had the right idea, but he still put it where he wanted to, which is out of reach of the right fielder, Dayette.
This is the first hit since Moses' single in the 5th inning, and the first extra base hit for Seattle all afternoon. This one, a couple hops against the wall. And Phil Bradley in at second base.
All right, with a man on second and nobody out, of course, Alvin Davis has the job now of hitting to the right side.
And during the course of the regular season, Jack, you might want to walk Davis here to get to the right-hand hitting Presley, but in spring training, they're going to let Baller face the left-hander.
That's a knee-high strike. Strike one. Little of everything for Davis today. A strikeout, a base hit, and a very deep fly to right. Strike one. Curve is outside.
You know, you got a base open here, Jack, and you want to pitch like it. You want to make him hit your pitch. Throw the ball just off the corner. If Davis wants to swing at a bad ball, that's his decision. But you can't give him anything too good to swing at, especially with that wind blowing out toward right.
Right. Curve outside. Now, that's a very good pitch by Mr. Baller. He came in with a good curve ball, a breaking ball to the outside just when he had to.
And now you're in the hole 1 and 2 if you're a hitter. And from a pitching standpoint, you like to throw that breaking ball maybe just off the corner, get Davis to swing at a bad ball and get out of the inning and let your offense take over.
Well, he tried to cut it a little fine on the outside, but went just a little bit too far with it that time. Ball 2, strike 2.
You still have another pitch to play with. That low and away is a pretty good spot. If you do have a man get a base hit, you'd like him to get it to left field. Give your left fielder a chance.
That's outside, so it's a full count now. Another breaking ball. Ball 3, strike 2. Dick Williams, Seattle Mariners, trying to break a 7-game losing streak here today.
And moments ago, Ron Davis's wife, Millie, gave birth to their 3rd child, a son, Isaac Benjamin, 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Congratulations, Ron Davis.
Ooh, there's one that gets away inside for ball 4, and the runner on second takes third. Alvin Davis walks on a low inside pitch that will probably be a wild pitch.
This is a breaking ball, well low and in. Definitely a wild pitch, Jack, and probably a little more problems for Jay Baller because now he can't throw the good hard breaking ball down. You got the man at third base, which is the go-ahead run, and you got Presley up where you'd normally like to work him with breaking balls. Now you have to be careful not to throw another pitch in the dirt and score the go-ahead.
Well, that puts men on first and third with 2 out, and the batter now is Presley. That's a ball. You really pull for Baller to get out of this jam.
It's a big outing for him. He's got to get out of this jam and
He's had such a tough spring.
let Gene Michael know that he can get out of situations just like this, which is every reliever's problem. He usually comes into the game in a tough spot. He's got to retire the opposition without letting any damage be done.
Presley is the only run batted in for Seattle today. There's a high foul ball. That should be out of play. It is. Ball 1, strike 1. Presley, back in the 4th inning, hit a sacrifice fly and scored Phil Bradley from third for the only Seattle score so far.
Presley, an enormously strong young man. You got to be very careful with him from the middle of the plate in. He's got quick hands with 27 home runs last year and over 100 RBIs at 107. You know that he can drive in the big runs.
1-1. Well, a guy who's pulling for the other side against us right now is a fellow we can understand. He's a colleague of ours up here, Steve. And that would be Riz Rizzo, who's the broadcaster for the Seattle Mariners. And he's from Blue Island. His dad is a very fine sports writer. Don and Julie Rizzo, and Riz rather, R-I-Z-Z-S. They must be watching today. That's inside. Ball 3, strike 1. Rick Riz is working with Dave Niehaus of the Seattle Mariners broadcasting team, and Davis kind of comes with the lease in this game of baseball. He's really a highly respected broadcaster, and young Rick is sitting alongside a good tutor there. Ball 3, strike 1. Foul ball, full count. So be ready, fellas. 2 out, tied up ball game, 1-1, 8th inning. Runners on first and third, and a full count on the batter. Jim Presley, one of the real power hitters on this ball club. The Cubs on the home stretch in the training season in the Cactus League in Mesa. That's a strike call. Ooh, he took a 3-2 count, high inside, a breaking pitch, and Baller got out of that jam with a called third strike. So, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. There was a wild pitch, 2 men left. We go now to the Cub half of number 8, and if they can get a run or two here, it'll loom very, very large. Score, 1-1.
I'm Dr. J of the Philadelphia 76ers, and for me, knowing what to do on a basketball court comes almost naturally. But knowing who to turn to when you have a disability can be difficult. Shriners Hospitals for Crippled Children offers excellent orthopedic medical care to children, free of charge. If you know a child who needs their help, please call Shriners Hospitals toll-free at 1-800-237-5055.
It was so simple. Really, a direct electrical charge here heats up the carbonized filament here, which in turn excites the gases trapped in here, and voila!
Well, it's very nice, Thomas, but I wanted a Bud Light.
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Don't feel bad, Thomas. It's not a complete loss.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Presenting your Toyota dealer's best-kept secret, Cressida, Toyota's most luxurious sedan and wagon. It surrounds you with the kind of luxury you thought you could never afford. But in Cressida, luxury features are standard equipment. Powered by a twin-cam 6-cylinder fuel-injected engine, it delivers first-class performance. You could spend a lot more for a luxury car, but with Toyota Cressida, you won't have to. Cressida, at your Toyota dealer now.
Well, then we have ourselves a pretty good fan of some sort there, huh?
Looks like she's enjoying this one.
Not hard to get an opinion out of her, is it? All right, that's true with most fans. That's what makes them fans. Chicago Cubs coming to bat now. And Wade Rowden.
Dave Martinez is in the on-deck circle. Looks like he's going to be swinging a bat. And we've got a new pitcher on the mound. And it looks like Bill Swift is taking over.
Oh, Dave is going to bat for Rowden. The reason for that, of course, is because even though that's the 8 hitter and the next hitter would be number 9 has to now be Chico Walker. So you don't figure to have Martinez bat for Walker. Walker instead is going to bat for himself because he's now out in center field. Then we'll have probably a pinch hitter for Jay Baller.
There you got a good look at Bill Swift, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, lives in Bellevue, Washington, split his year between Seattle and Calgary last year. And he falls behind Martinez.
1-1 ball game. Jack Brickhouse along with Steve Stone. A little high. Arnie, got anything on that Iowa game? They're in the second half. Iowa and Tark the Shark. Ball 2. No strikes. That's a ball. Ball 3. No strikes.
You figure Martinez will be taking 2 pitches for sure, trying to get on base. He's the go-ahead run, could be the winning run if he can get scored.
Ooh, ball inside. The Cubs have a base runner and a runner who can run.
Here's a look at Bill Swift, not having a very good spring training so far, and looks like the Cubs are in business. Some pretty fast men involved here with Chico Walker at bat, Dave Martinez at first, and a little meeting at the mound talking about the bunt possibilities.
In the meantime, Walker's staring a hole through the third base coach to see what the sign is down there. Jimmy Pearsall's coaching at first now. That looks like, is that Lucchese at third? Chico, of course, is getting the sign from the third base coach. No bunt. Took the pitch high outside. Everybody started in. Midway in the second half, Iowa still leading 64-55 over University of Nevada at Las Vegas.
Jerry Mumphrey on deck. He'll come on to pinch hit for Jay Baller.
Ball one. Tie game, 1-1. Throw to first, close. Martinez had to dive back in.
5 straight bad ones from Swift. So you got to figure that Chico will take a strike.
There's a base hit to right, past the pulled-in first baseman, and the runner on first, Martinez, races to third unchallenged. The Cubs have the lead run in scoring position at third, and another potential run at first with nobody out, and Jerry Mumphrey is the batter.
Walker didn't take a pitch. He liked what he saw, that sinking fastball away, drives it through the right side, and the good speed of Dave Martinez gets him in at third base. The throw is cut off, and the Cubs are in business.
The veteran Jerry Mumphrey, who's not going to be too worried by the pressure of this moment because he's been around a little while, is going to bat. The infield, of course, pulled in. A lot of things can bring in a lead run in a spot like this. Cubs are in the driver's seat. That's a little high. That's ball one.
Dave Martinez having to avoid getting hit by the ball. Does it well, doesn't lose the stride.
Ball one.
Well, they've got
Alvin Davis, the first baseman.
They've got to cut off the lead run here. So if it's hit right at the infield, they're going to look to third. They're going to freeze Dave Martinez. They're not worried about 2. They're worried about Martinez scoring. Runner going, and the ball gets away. Here comes Martinez.
And the run scores. All right, we'll take all of that we can get. It's a break for the Cubs, and they take the lead on that big break at home plate. Let's watch it again now. Here's Martinez at third.
Good anticipation.
The ball getting away from the catcher, Kearney. And the Cubs have the lead run. They're out in front 2-1. Walker, of course, taking second on the play. Well, what do they call it, Steve? I presume a wild pitch, huh?
Bounced about 5 feet in front of the plate.
Yeah. Mumphrey in the batter's box. Takes this one low inside. Ball 3, no strikes. Cubs leading 2-1. 8th inning. Martinez scoring from third on a wild pitch. That's Chico on second. And the third baseman, Presley, comes in to try to settle the pitcher down and also maybe talk over a little strategy with him. What do you suppose this conversation's all about, Steve?
This conversation is because they're trying to get somebody in the bullpen ready quickly before Swift gives up the ranch here.
In other words,
they want to kill as much time as they can.
I got you. Before he gives up the ranch, huh?
Oh, Swift is having some time this spring that you'd like to forget about. He's really struggled, and this is no exception. He's had some trouble getting the ball over the plate.
There is a drive that escapes Harold Reynolds in and out of his glove, and the runner on second takes third. That'll go for a base hit.
The fans wanted to run to score, Jack, but that was good safety first base running. When you got a man at third and nobody out, last thing you want to do is get him thrown out at the plate. Now, Mumphrey's got to hold up. He doesn't know if the man's going to come up with the ball. He doesn't. And he holds him right there. So as long as there's nobody out, you got Rafael Palmeiro coming up, and you might as well not gamble in that situation.
All right, here's Palmeiro coming to bat for the first time. A young fella who is with this ball club right now because they like his bat. And here's his chance to prove it. Nobody out. Cubs ahead in the ball game by a 2-1 score. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Cub runners at first and third. And the infield, of course, is still drawn in. So here's Palmeiro, whose numbers may not be as impressive as they should, but nevertheless, they like this guy's bat. There's a well-hit ball, right field, falls in, base hit, another run for the Cubs, and Mumphrey takes second. Chico Walker scoring easily, and the Cubs now have themselves a 3-1 lead.
RBI for Palmeiro. It's a looping liner to right field. Rafael was at 171. He's raised that now with this base hit above 250. So he's starting to get that batting average up to where the Cubs think it should be, and that's going to be it for Billy Swift. As Dick Williams comes out, and we're going to take a look at another pitcher.
All right, back to more baseball right after this. Well, we have Shields pitching now. Big fella, 6'5", 230. Cubs out in front 3-1. The ball game is in the Cub half of number 8. So it's nice to know they're going to go into the 9th inning with at least a 2-run lead and maybe more.
And Steve Shields last year spent some time at Richmond and Atlanta, Kansas City. Came over to Seattle. You can see him with a 5.0 ERA. And he's got to get out of a tough spot. Runners at first and second, nobody out. 2 runs already in. He'd like to stop the Cubs right here, but he's got his work cut out for him. Paul Noce is going to be the first Cub hitter to face Shields. He doesn't throw particularly hard. He's got to keep the ball down to be effective.
Yeah, actually, he's in Andre Dawson's spot in the batting order. That big multiplayer substitution they made an inning or so ago. Runners on first and second. Fastball high, takes it. Had squared away to bunt. Took the pitch instead, ball 1. Cubs 3 on 9 hits. Seattle 1 on 6 hits. And for the first 4 innings, the Cubs had a lone single, and that was wiped out when Durham was out trying to steal. Here's the bunt. Fair ball. The play will be at third. They've got their man. It's a force at third. And therefore, a fielder's choice for Noce. And Palmeiro stops at second.
Good play by Shields. He bounces off the mound. Take another look at it. He's got to wheel and fire in one motion to make sure that he gets him, and he does it quickly. Watch it one more time. Pretty good play because it's a good bunt. Luis Quinones up, getting his first look at bat.
Runners on first and second. Foul ball out of play to the left. Well, glove-wise, of the fellas trying to make this ball club as another infielder, fellas like Noce and Wayne Rodden, fellas like that, Quinones is credited with being perhaps the best glove man.
I think he's had a pretty decent spring swing in the bat, 235, but he's gotten some big hits for the Cubs.
Yes.
And there's no doubt about his hands. He's a very comfortable infielder, has some versatility and flexibility in the infield, and he's making a strong bid for that utility job. He came over in the Ron Say deal, Say going to the Oakland A's. Quinones coming over here.
It's a ball. Ball 2, strike 1.
Shields was 9-8 last year with Richmond, 7.11 ERA with Atlanta.
Shortstop over to second for one. The relay. No double play, and the runner on third is going to score. The ball gets away, and the Cubs have another run. Palmeiro coming in. Noche going to second on the error.
And Harold Reynolds just throwing the ball away in his haste to try to make the double play. Credit Noche with taking him out hard at second base, and that sets up the run. So the RBI will go to Quinones, but it's actually the credit of Paul Noche. Good slide at second.
So 2 out, man on second. Score the ball game now. The Cubs 4 and Seattle 1, as Seattle is threatened with their 8th consecutive loss. And the Cubs are on the verge of their 12th win of the season. They're 11-7 at the moment. Brian Dayette now at bat, playing right field, started the game in left. So here's Shields throwing, and that gets away from the catcher, and the runner on second goes to third. Well, that's one of the unfortunate things. Bob Kearney blocked a low pitch. It popped out of his glove, and he turned one way, and the ball went another. That got to be a little bit on the frustrating side for the catcher.
Been
but
a
these
tough
things
inning
happen.
for Seattle. And you can see the ball getting away. Shields comes up, but Quinones moves over.
Ball 2, strike 1.
Cubs were shut out for 6. They put a run on the board in the 7th. 3 here, and Dayette trying to add to that.
Low and away. Ball 3, strike 1. Like you say, Steve, this is the kind of count a fellow like this really loves. He loves this 3-1 pitch.
Well, Kearney's had his work cut out for him. He's been bouncing all over there, trying to stop everything that both Swift and Shields have thrown.
That's a strike. Now we have a full count. Ball 3, strike 2. Three and 2. That is a curved strike. He got him. He took a beaut. But the Cubs come up with 3 biggies. Boy. On 1, 2, 3 hits with a walk and an error. And a man left. So we go to the 9th, and the folks are starting to make for the exits now. It's a little nippy out here. The score of the ball game, the Cubs 4, the Mariners 1. Well, we have some more changes, Steve. Chico Walker has now moved to left. Palmeiro is at first base. And Lee Smith is pitching. Palmeiro and Martinez is now in center field.
And Lee Smith is on the mound. There you look at his very impressive spring stats. 2.25 ERA, his 7th appearance. He's got 3 saves already. He'd pick up another one here. The winner would be Jay Ballard. The loser would be Billy Swift. And once again, Jack, the victory would not go to the Swift.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's getting late and a little cold, you know.
Would you like the All-American Swift trivia question?
Okay, what is it?
Bob Swift of the Detroit Tigers was one of the fellas involved with one of the most remarkable incidents in Major League history. What was it?
I'd have to say once again, that's before my time.
It was before your time. Bob Swift was the catcher when Bill Vex midget Eddie Goodell took 4 pitches at St. Louis.
And went to first.
That's right. And Swift was the catcher. All right, Cubs out in front by a score of 4-1. The batter here is Quinones.
Goodell had a short career, didn't he?
That was it. That was it. Although he's still... High foul out of play to the right. After a long day like this, you have to pull one like that on me, huh? Ball 1, strike 2.